What deployment group in Informatica. A deployment group is a global object which contains objects from one or more folders. A deployment group is used to copy objects from folder/folders or repository. Use of Use for deployment groups. Deployment group are a storage place that hold reference of objects that use for migrate. And it is quicker and more flexible than folder moves for increment changes. Now this is the Informatica Power Center repository. So first I am going to show the two ways to create a deployment group. First you go to Tools tab, add down deployment. So there's two subparts of deployment, first group and history. Now click on groups. So if you click, then you will get the deployment group browser. So enter three buttons are an enable, first, close, help, and new. So click new. If you click new, then deployment group editor come. At here you can specify name and at here created on that is system date and current owner administrator. And there are two types of group, one static, second dynamic. Or the next way is cancel and close. So next we right click in on deployment groups and add the option new group. Click there. So directly you will see deployment group editor. So now I'm going to create a static deployment group. So before I'm going to create a static deployment group, the definition of a static deployment group: manually add or delete object from a static deployment group. You can add checked in object to a static deployment group from repository manager. You cannot add checked out object to a deployment group. Now dynamic deployment group. If we link an object query with a deployment group, the repository service run the query at the time of deployment. Now add here specify the name. A static deployment group 1. Now click on OK. So hereafter, or you can either drag source or table or target table, but I'm going to drag mapping into a static deployment group manually. So if you do drag mapping into a deployment group, a static deployment group, then you will get the error cannot add checked out version to the deployment group. So I have to make that one checked in. So click on versioning tab hereafter. um, after check-in, so click on OK. Now this is checked in. So drag this term into a static deployment group. Now if you drag then dependency for deployment group editor come. So add your three tabs on one all dependent, that's recommended, non reusable, and third no dependency. So first I'm going to create by created deployment group using all dependents. Now click OK. So look at the 11 objects are selected. Double click them. So std1, tbl1. So there are two target table in std created by std1 tbl underscore tct. Now check on transformation. First exp underscore detect changes. A static deployment group, same things are there. So almost all transformation are same. Now create a new group again. So this time I'm going to create dynamic deployment group. So give add your name dynamic dip grp. Now click on radio button of dynamic. So if you click then you have to specify the query. So one query I already created, so now I'm going to delete that one. So click on new button. So here specify the query name, deployment query. So a query tab, there are two options, personal and share. Now I'm using personal this time. So a query description is optional part. So it's depend upon you. Either you give the comment or not. Now I'm giving this is used for deployment group test query. Now like other transformation there is add a new port Caesar for cancel beside that one, copy and paste. So add your parameter name, specify there are lots of parameters name there. So specify choose anyone. So I used last save time. So that should be less than system times. So today is 10/12/2015. Or at here second I'm going to use parameter name user operator is equal to administrator. Now execute the query. So look at there all objects are from username administrator and date is below 10/12/2015. Now save the query. So look at the dynamic deployment group created. So first create one folder into info rib, give the name deployment grp. click OK. Folder created successfully. Now select a dynamic deployment group and drag into repository. So wizard come. So this wizard will guide you through the process of copy. Uh, the deployment group dynamic dip grp will copy it in the repository info repo. There are two types of mod. Use typical option when possible. This is default, or you can use advanced option. So now click on next button. So target folder not selected at here. So you have to click on overwrite button. Now click next. So look at the comparing folder dwdep and Q folder deployment grp. Now click again next button. So source folder and target folder are come. Now click next. Now copy table there. So look at their source table, sources and targets uh, tables are come. Now this time I'm dragging static deployment group into repository. The same process. So there is one repository manager message there one or more selected target folder or out of date or don't exist in the target repository. If you can continue, this wizard will compare the source and target folder. Click on yes, next, and next button. So this times sources are sources tables are come and target tables are come and mapping MSCD track 1. So if you go to mapping designer, click there. So info rip selected, info rip repository selected, uh, deployment group. And here you can drag also the mappings into mapping designer and you can also do the further process. So SCD1, TBL1 have three elements and escort schema SCD1 TBL. Have the three elements ID, name, address. Now let's create a new deployment group. So specify the name or give it a static or dip group 1. Group 1 already there. So specify the name group 2. Now drag any mapping into static deployment group 2. So the problem is cannot check out version to the deployment. So make it checking by clicking versioning or tab or now check-in. Give out a comment any name. Now again try. So this time it's successful. So I already used all dependencies. Now I'm going to use non-reusable option. So no reusable. This is the advanced option. All dependent non-reusable child object will be added to the deployment group and they will also be deployed. All dependent reusable child object must already exist in the target repository or they must be added to the deployment group. Otherwise, deployment will fail. So now click OK. So total 9 object. Now click again. Uh, Create again new or deployment group using a static group tab. So this time give it here name static deployment group 2. So group 2 already exists, so specify new name group 3. Now click OK. Again drag any mapping there. So same problems. So make it check in. Now again try. So no dependencies option. Click there. So only one objects are deployed. So only mapping MSCD tag to static LKP deployed. So deployment group. So deployment groups. One is a static DEP group 1, dynamic DEP group. Now if you see the view history, so look object name group, object types, all are in there. View group, sorry, or view history. So if you click edit, so you can do the modification, new for new permission. So if you give the permission user list on, so administrator and others user are in there, or you can add new user. Click on add button, so everyone created. Now again go to tools. So this times referenced and um, three static groups and one dynamic group are in there. Now rolling back our deployment group. So click on Tools tab after deployment. There are support, groups and history. So click on history. So that's all our history about deployment group. So click on view history button. Now uh, deployment group name dynamic DPL group. So there is a rollback option enable active. So click on the rollback button. So look at message rollback successfully succeeded. Now click on OK. So it's all about deployment group in Informatica. So thanks for watching. See you in next video.